Right, well, it's a tough economy in which to deliver a budget speech. That has been the case for years. Amidst all the doom and gloom, though, around our economy, which was only made worse by COVID-19, there is one piece of good news. According to Stats SA, total income for the tourist accommodation industry increased by nearly 47% in December last year, compared with the same year, the previous year. The outbreak of the Omicron variant late last year, of course, led to flight bans, and foreigners cancelled their bookings en masse. But the good news is that many South Africans grabbed the holiday specials instead. To discuss, we're now joined by the director at the Specialist Tourism Unit at Consulting Firm BDO, and that's Leanne Buck. Thank you for being with us, Ms. Buck. So you've looked at it. Can you tell, in fact, how many hotels and guest houses were full or partly full in December?
Well, we can't tell exactly. They weren't full. The average occupancy for hotels, across all hotels, caravan parks, bed and breakfast, guest houses, was actually only 30%. And if you compare that to 2019, where it was 50%. So you've got to bear in mind that December, obviously, half the month is a working month, and the holiday season sort of starts to kick in from around about the 16th or thereabout of the month. So the fact that we got 30% occupancy is amazing, actually. There certainly were full hotels, there certainly were full bed and breakfast, especially around the peak period, the holiday time. But we still had lots of unsold rooms, and this was really due to the Omicron variant, especially at the beginning of the month, because December is the start, end of November, December is the start of the peak tourism season for South Africa, especially for international tourists. And on the 24th of November, when we identified Omicron, and then within 48 hours, South Africa was on everybody's travel bans, that led to a mass exodus of cancellations, and we had this huge amount of stock of hotel and accommodation rooms, basically.
Yeah,
and as you know,
our collective, Ms. Buck, our collective heart sank at the news. I remember that. So you're saying in light of what was happening, 30% is pretty good, but you've cautioned that this doesn't mean that the tourism industry has recovered or is even anywhere close to a full recovery.
Absolutely. So, we were on a sort of recovery track. Let's just look at our foreign tourism arrivals. As of November, we had reached roughly, I'm just going to check my stats here. Yeah, we'd reached 39% of our normal arrivals for the month of November. So we were sort of on the up. It's been increasing sort of like a couple of percentage points every month through the year of 2021. And then December hit, and we only got 20% of our arrivals. So we still had those who sort of ran the gauntlet and decided to come to South Africa anyway. But we've got a long way to go for this industry to recover. And there's a lot of businesses that are really struggling and really battling to actually stay afloat at the moment in this really tough times. So we really need to. The domestic tourism is very important, and this is the absolute positive that has come out of this pandemic, is that South Africans have really had an opportunity to see a lot of their country, and they've embraced the opportunity. There's a lot of specials. There were a lot of specials that were pushed into the market in December as these hotels and bed and breakfasts were left with free stock. And South Africans realized that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to actually experience stuff that I normally couldn't afford, and it's offered at an affordable rate.
Yeah.
So they, as I said, they ditched their caravans, they ditched their tents, and they took that opportunity to go and stay in some of our luxury hotels, not even luxury hotels, but to stay in the product and go and experience the country. And hopefully from this, the bug is bitten, and we can really get a fantastic domestic tourism industry, and we call on the industry as a whole to support and to continue to support the supply of product for the domestic market, because it is so important, and it's so important to have that underpin of domestic tourism and not to rely solely on foreign tourism.
Well, you've preempted my final question. Has this challenged the business models, do you think, of those really high-end venues that for years have only catered to an overseas market that can pay in dollars or euros? Like you say, some South Africans picked up opportunities, but that's in a case they had to offer discounts. Are they looking to the future and thinking twice about what they're doing?
So some of them most definitely are. We cannot dictate. Everybody has their own business model in terms of how they want to take it forward. But there's definitely a big chunk of the market that has realized how important the domestic market is to their business. And there are talks about how do we actually bring in and maintain the fact that we want to have a big base of domestic tourism, and how do we structure our pricing there accordingly, so that we don't alienate the domestic market going forward and we don't sort of go back just to the foreign market. There absolutely are those products who have got deep pockets, the owners have got deep pockets, and they've said, well, we're not going to discount. They didn't really discount, and they've said, well, we'll hold out until foreigners return. But there are many that turned around and said, let's look towards the domestic market, and they gave fantastic discounts. And we really hope that for the majority of them will continue to recognize the importance of the market and keep some of those good prices going into the future.
All right, hopefully it gets better, but what did happen in December has been welcomed. And by the way, a little bit later in the show, we'll look at Mauritius as well. That was a director at the Specialist Tourism Unit at Consulting Firm BDO, Leanne Buck.